The House will come to order. Today, the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Representative Brooks.
I pledge allegiance
Mr. Shebo, please call the roll.
Representatives Armagost, Bacon, Barone, Byrd, Basenecker, Bottoms, Bradfield, Bradley, Brooks, Brown, Caldwell, Camacho, Carter, Clifford, DeGraff, Duran, English, Espinoza, Ferre, Representative Ferre, Froelich, Garcia, Representative Garcia,
Excused.
Garcia Sander, Gilchrist, Representative Gilchrist, Gonzalez, Hamrick, Hartsook, Representative Hartsook,
Excused.
Johnson, Joseph, Rep. Joseph,
Excused.
Kelty, Leader, Lindsay, Linstead, Luck, Representative Luck,
Excused. Oh,
Lukens, Mabry, Marshall, Martinez, Morrow, McCormick, Pascal, Phillips, Puglisi, Richardson, Ricks, Representative Ricks,
excused.
Rutinel, Ryden, Sirota, Smith, Soper, Stewart K, Stewart R, Story, Sukla, Taggart, Representative Taggart,
Excused.
Titone, Valdez A is excused. Velasco, Weinberg, Wilford, Representative Wilford,
Excused.
Winter, Woodrow, Woog, Zokai, and Madam Speaker.
Here. With 60 present for excused and 1 vacancy, we do have a quorum. Representative Brooks.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Good morning.
Good morning, colleagues. Hey, yesterday I was a little concerned. I am pretty sure that the noes may have had it because they were vastly outnumbered by the ayes. If not for the vociferous support of Representative Lukens, I think and fear that the measure may have failed. So I'd ask for everybody to get into a ruckus participatory mood today for the vote. Madam Speaker, I move that the Journal of Tuesday, January 21st, 2025, be approved as corrected by the chief clerk.
Members, you have heard the motion that the journal be approved as corrected by the chief clerk. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Members, we do have business today, the first of many second reading debates. Excellent, thank you. Assistant Majority Leader Bacon. Members, you have heard the motion. Seeing no objection, Assistant Majority Leader Bacon will take the chair.
Good morning. We are getting ready to go into our first second reading. The committee will come to order. There we go. With your unanimous consent, the bills will be read by title unless there is a request for reading a bill at length. Committee reports are printed and in your bill folders. Floor amendments will be shown on the screen and on your iPads. Bills will be laid over upon motion of the majority leader, and the court rule is relaxed. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title of the House Bill 1016.
House Bill 1016 by Representative Stuart Kay, also Senator Michael St-Genet, concerning authorizing an occupational therapist to prescribe durable medical equipment.
Representative Stewart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1016 on second reading.
To the bill. Representative Stewart.
This bill gives occupational therapists the ability to prescribe durable medical equipment, expands access to health care in rural Colorado, and I'm asking for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1016? Representative Bradley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I come in support of this bill. Great bill. I think as a physical therapist by nature, I told the occupational therapist I would come in full support of this bill. We've got to start putting patient care first. We got to be advocates for our patients, and for them to have prescriptive authority to help patients be safer and to stop falling. Full support of this bill, and I urge an aye vote. Thank you.
Representative Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just like to point out that this passed unanimously out of committee, and it will be a huge benefit, especially to our rural Colorado patients who seek this kind of care, and this way they're not delayed in getting the treatment they need, so that way they can properly heal the way they need to, and I am grateful for my good colleague for bringing this forward.
Representative Kelty.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for letting me ask this. I actually have a question. When you mention occupational therapy and those who practice that, is this a certified occupational therapist, like someone who actually has credentials and are certified? And then I know that says no fiscal note on this, but eventually there will be some sort of fiscal note just due to the fact that, you know, taxpayers sometimes will actually end up having to pay for it for those who can't afford it and things like that. So I want to know that this is actually being recommended or prescribed by someone who's actually certified and qualified to make those kind of decisions.
Representative Stewart.
Yes, they are a certified occupational therapist. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative Kelty.
But it doesn't specify that they're certified. So is there a way that we can add that they're certified in here, make an amendment to put in certified? I'm new at this, so. Yeah, I'm new.
Representative Stewart.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the question, Representative Kelty. There is certainly a way to add that they're certified, because they are.
I can't hear him.
They are certified, so we can add that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Representative Kelty, thank you. Normally, Chair has to recognize you to speak. That's okay, even if it's to say thank you. All right, is there any further discussion on House Bill 1016? Seeing none, the question before us is its passage. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say no. House Bill 1016 passes. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1022.
House Bill 1022 by Representatives Espinoza and McCormick, also Senator Michaelson Janae, concerning updating the definition of qualified medication administration personnel to include an individual who has passed a competency evaluation administered by the Department of Public Health and Environment before July 1st, 2017.
Representative Espinoza.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 251022.
To the bill. Representative Espinoza.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a bill to correct a minor technical error in drafting from last year, which will allow qualified medication administrative personnel to continue to be certified. Individuals who were previously tested by CDPHE were inadvertently left out of the bill. This bill corrects that error and brings everyone into the current standing with regard to their qualifications as qualified medication administrative personnel. These are individuals who administer medication in schools, nursing homes, and outside of hospital care. Very important bill. CDHP has asked us to fix this error as quickly as possible to ensure that all these individuals remain certified.
Representative McCormick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, this needs to be fixed as soon as possible. If not, we could potentially see employers having to pay $500 for each employee to retrain several hundred workers and spend 16 or more hours getting retrained. To give you an example of what this will fix is the entire goal of Senate Bill 24-167 was to make things easier for assisted living employers and their direct care employees. Let's just say Mary Smith works at Direct Care Worker Happy Days Assisted Living, and she is offered a job by Greengrass Assisted Living, which is closer to her home, but the management at the new place is upset she is leaving and won't give her the documentation or the old place for the TB test they gave her, and her new employer will have to repeat many of the same trainings that she has already had, even though they're not site-specific. So this is good for employers, good for employees, and I urge an aye vote on this bill so we can help these people out in the field and get this problem fixed. Thank you.
Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to, I have mainly a question about this. It's not, I mean, I think there's all the time that I can see that something gets missed on this. But here, I have a problem. I have a question about the wording because it says we are in extending a qualification for. We are extending a qualification to include an individual who has passed a competency examination administered by the Department of Public Health and Environment before July 21, and that might answer my actual question. Because here it says by an approved training entity on or after July 21 or July 1, 2017. So the cover says, just want to make sure that I have this correct. The cover says after or before July 2021, and just want to make sure an individual has passed a competency exam administered by the Department of Public before July 1 of 2017. And then in the description, it says who has passed a competency evaluation administered by an approving training entity on or after. So these are exclusionary. They don't even actually have an overlap on July 1, 2017. So the bill adds this definition of an individual who has passed a competency examination by the department, and then it goes back to before. So I'm just a little confused how the wording of that goes and who the approved training facility is, because what is the, if we're just automatically approving somebody, this body could, approve a medical administrator of some, the land of psilocybin or doctor of psilocybin, and then we could be approving a very broad thing. So I'm a little confused on the dates and the range of this, who is approved to pass a competency evaluation.
Representative McCormick.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the question. First of all, this doesn't have anything to do with psilocybin, but last year's bill, Senate Bill 24-167, when it brought in the definition of the qualified medication administration personnel, overlooked previous statute to make sure that those people that had gone through testing and certification before 2017, July 1st, by CDPHE, we inadvertently left those people out of the definition. And then in last year's bill, there are several different training entities that are now approved outside of CDPHE to do this certification and testing. And those folks that have gotten that certification on or after July 1st, 2017 are also covered now. So we wanted to make sure we were covering all the people that had been certified, and this is very similar to, once you're certified, you're certified. Once you've learned that thing, you've learned that thing. It's like graduating from high school. Once you graduate from high school, you've got your high school diploma. And so this bill now covers all those people that have gotten that certification, whether it's through CDPHE or through one of these outside entities that have been approved, that are, I believe, listed from our last year's bill. I don't have that in front of me right now, but there are outside entities that have been approved through the department to administer these certification tests so that those folks can get those certificates and be able to move from job to job. Does that help?
Representative DeGraff.
Thank you very much for that. And I guess I need to go back and look at the, I would like the other bill. Everything's fast and furious. But anyways, what keeps this from approving is that a comprehensive list that was in the bill last year, or can this year or next year another entity be added to this, because when I read this, it says by an approved training entity on or after July 1, 2017. So any approved entity could be rolled into this. So again, whenever we have an open-ended legislation, it feels like an open-ended legislation, which to me incurs a level of risk. It becomes a Pandora's box.
Members, this is our first day, but we do have to bring it down. We have business. Thank you, Representative Espinosa.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for that question. The issue is that CDPHE must certify all of the entities that that can train individuals, and so we would not be opening the Pandora's box in this circumstance, because only in training certified entities can be trained. So we do regulate for that, and this is for specific skills that they are certified to be able to provide that training. And it is things like hand washing, administering medication, things that are tied to that qualified medication administrative personnel's job duties that are limited by CDHP's authorization of these entities to do that training. Does that help?
Representative Bradfield.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have heard this bill. I think I've heard it a second time right here. We voted in committee. It was passed unanimously. This is taking care of a mistake, an inadvertent mistake, and I encourage and I vote on this, please.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1022. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, please say no. The bill passes. Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 1033.
House Bill 1033 by Representatives Leader and Garcia Sander concerning medical assistance third-party liability payments.
Representative Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And it is a pleasure to serve with you.
The pleasure is all mine, my friend. To the bill.
I move House Bill 1033, Medicaid third-party liability federal compliance. Colleagues, you have a fact sheet on your desk right here that explains what the bill does. And in passing the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2022, Congress directed states to add 2 new requirements to the state Medicaid third-party liability provisions, and these requirements ensure that state dollars are appropriately spent and that third-party payers respond to requests in a timely manner. House Bill 1033 will ensure that the Department of Healthcare Policy and Financing is in compliance with federal law and the direction given to it by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid.
Thank you, Rep. Leader.
Representative, I'm sorry, I just got to recognize you. Representative Garcia Sander.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill will hold, wait, are you chair or are you?
I'm chair. You can call me queen every other, I'm just kidding. To the bill.
New pronouns, okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill will hold commercial payers accountable for their fiscal responsibility for the approximately 10% of Medicaid members who are also enrolled in a commercial health insurance plan. This portion of members utilize Medicaid as a payer of last resort, and this bill helps to fortify it. I urge an aye vote on HB 25-1033 in order to ensure the state remains within federal compliance. This did pass out of committee 13-0.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1033? Seeing none, the question before us is its passage. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Bill passes.
Sweet.
Mr. Schiebel, please read the title to House Bill 25-1063.
House Bill 1063 by Representatives Hartsook and Brown, also Senator Michael St. concerning the lawful use of crystalline polymorph psilocybin that is approved by the United States Food and Drug Administration.
Representative Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move House Bill 1063.
To the bill. Representative Hartsook.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You just pulled a fast one on me. Hey, good morning, everybody. So I'd like to talk a little bit about this bill. We talked about it in committee, and there's been several questions, very valid questions that have been brought up, and I'd like to go over some of that stuff. So in particular, this bill, and what I want to do is kind of lay out what it does and what it does not do. One of the things, I mean, the state passed under Prop 122, and that has nothing to do with this bill. This bill is a synthetic. It is a synthetic derivative of cyclosilibin. It is designed and going through the trials by the FDA. Now, I know many of us have concerns about the FDA and how they do things, but right now, that is what we have as an agency. And depending on what the FDA does in their trials, and if they approve it, and then the DEA then reschedules it, then it can be used. My purpose in this bill, because Colorado as a state, the way our Constitution goes, when you come in with a new medication like this for treatment, it requires the state to say yay or nay. Most states have an automatic that if the feds approve a medication, then it is approved at the state level. We don't do that here. People have asked, why am I doing this preemptively? As many of you know, and all of it that's new, you get to hear this for the first time. My 26 years in the Army, I've seen a lot with PTSD. I heard that. And whether you're in the military, first responders, fire department, medical personnel, there's a lot of people that get exposed to PTSD. They have depression, they have trauma, and then auto accidents, you can also have TBIs. They can lead to depression. There's a multitude of treatments that are available out there. There's a whole bunch of them. Some work on some people, some work on others. Some don't seem to work at all. This course of action, this treatment that is currently being investigated by the FDA and tested is simply another potential treatment to be used as a toolkit for doctors, psychiatrists to provide and help somebody that has not responded in other treatments. Is it going to be a cure-all? Absolutely not. Will it be a toolkit that a professional healthcare provider can use? Yes. But that is only upon the approval of the FDA, the rescheduling by the DEA, and then this makes it automatically available. And the reason I'm doing this now in advance is so we don't have to wait, and veterans and people that have not responded to other treatments have to wait for us to come back here and get the wheels moving. That is the sole purpose of trying to do this. And I would ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Representative Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to my colleague from Parker. I am very honored to be on this bill with him in order to expand access to important treatments for PTSD, treatment-resistant depression, and other mental health conditions. I think it's important to think about this bill the way you might think about a more traditional drug. My grandmother, for example, used to have she had a heart condition. She used to take a medication called Digitalis. Digitalis is an FDA-approved medication. It is derived from a plant known as foxglove. So the medication, it's synthesized, the molecule is identified in nature, and then it is synthesized in a laboratory, and then it goes through an FDA approval process, which allows for the company and for independent scientists and researchers to evaluate whether it is a safe and effective medication. And there are different steps, at least 4 or 5 different trial steps that any drug must go through before receiving full FDA approval. Everything from testing toxicity in animals to a full-blown phase 3 clinical trial that then must be evaluated and determined to be safe and effective by the FDA. So this bill is about making sure that the active ingredient, psilocybin, is subjected to the same rigorous evidence-based standards that every other medication in our FDA drug approval process goes through. So it is a great honor to be able to join my colleague on this bill, and we ask for your aye vote.
Any further discussion? Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Agree on a lot of all this stuff, probably needed. I'm not against psilocybin, but this is not just wandering around the cow pasture licking shrooms like my colleague when he was a child. So I think that's to the bill. There are, I think this medication, and I'm sure this medication has a lot of advantages, but I'm really trying to get my head around why we need a trigger mechanism, a trigger bill, when we are, from everything that I've heard, 2 to 3 years out. Now, if we were in phase 3, or like we were wrapping up and we looked at this medication and we said, yes, this has lots of, everything about it is good, solid, because it does help a lot, but also things I've read on it, it has a, I don't want to say a high, but it has the potential for psychotic break. And that is a real risk. And when you take that molecule, which is fantastic that you can synthesize it, and then you can reduce that benefit or risk to its essence, it's a fantastic way to do medicine. It's phenomenal how these things are created for us, designed in nature. So I think it's great. We've got a lot of it, but having a trigger bill 2 to 3 years in advance is really kind of betting on the roll of the dice. We don't know what we don't know in this, right? And one of the things that, the least likely outcome of any experiment, if you follow it scientifically, the least likely outcome is the one that you intend. So I think especially in a area like this, we need to proceed with caution. It's not a matter of saying, well, we don't want this. It's a matter of proceeding with caution. It's a matter of looking at it and going, okay, we know this is coming. We know it's coming. It should be coming. But based on the risks, I just think it's my opinion that we would have a little bit more caution moving forward. This is a genie. You can't put the genie back in the bottle, right? So before we let it loose in advance, maybe we need to do some more, have some interviews with that genie. Maybe we need to sit down and have a little chat before we just go and release him. So I'm going to be a no on this bill, not because I'm against psilocybin, not because I'm against the chronic pain. I am certainly for veterans, being one. I just think having a trigger bill 3 years in advance is probably something that we don't want to sign on to as a legislative body, because we don't know what we don't know. Thank you.
Representative Kelty.
Is that it? Thank you very much, Chairman. So I have just a few words of concern about the bill. I'm into natural medication. I believe in natural medication. This is not really the natural medication that I would really hope it to be. There's no sense of control mechanism for that. If they're in a telehealth or something like that, the individual, and they're actually mentioning veterans, there is no control for that. I don't like that part. I don't want this to go along the way that weed did. Weed, we had medical, then we went to recreational. Is this going to be along the same lines as that? Is it going to be medical and then like, oh, well, why not? Let's just make it recreational. I really don't like that. I like the medical aspect of it. I don't like the recreational aspect of it, because this can be a very, very dangerous drug, because that's what it is. It's a medication in one way, it can be a drug in another way. It's not fully tested yet. I don't like that part. And I don't like the fact that they're constantly using my veterans as test subjects, right? They're using them and I understand the PTSD. I've dealt with a lot of my veterans with PTSD. But I don't want it to be something that actually breaks them. And we need to stop using them as guinea pigs. It's not studied enough, and honestly, I would like to see more research and more time given to this before we actually subject our people to this. I just think that we owe them that. We're here to help protect them. And without the information and without working this through. I don't know that we're protecting them enough from something that we don't know enough about. A therapist of mine for physical therapy actually did mushrooms. We'll just call it for what it is, mushrooms for a long time, and he ended up having hallucinations from it. So much so that he had to end up quitting or stop. He had to force himself to stop doing the mushrooms because the hallucinations were actually just ridiculous, and he couldn't handle it. So I don't want that to happen to my veterans either, or anybody else. So I really think that we should walk with this with a lot of caution. Thank you.
Representative Bottoms.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So looking at this, I am a veteran. But my biggest concern with this is not from the veteran side of this. It's for the veterans. I'm also a pastor, and I do a lot of counseling, and I counsel dozens and dozens of veterans that are dealing with PTSD and have for quite a long time. And one of the things that I have found is that there is some efficacy in these types of drugs, but I've also seen statistics show us that there is a complete psychotic break or psychotic meltdown in the range of about the 20 percentile with this. That's extremely high, and the fact that this drug has not been tested a lot and we're already seeing that number, that's very concerning. One of my biggest concerns with this is the language in the bill that says that this is going to be under an extremely controlled group, that there's going to be a lot of controls put on this. That does not exist in this state. That does not exist in this space. Probably statistically, half of us in this room, not us, are on psychotropics or something along those lines. And you know without a doubt that this is not controlled. Doctors, we also have telehealth, which means that space has zero control mechanisms built into it. The doctor says, is this what you want? And they say, yep, and they try it for a while, and then they come back to the doctor, and the doctor says, how'd that go? And they say, well, I lost all sight, hearing, and had all kinds of explosive diarrhea, and they said, okay, then let's change it and let's do something else. That's the full extent of control group. And anybody that says that's not true is either not informed, not talking to the people, not talking to the doctors, or completely making this up. There is no such thing as a control mentality in this state, in this space. And there can't be. There cannot be. Specifically, we have telehealth, but also with the dynamic that we keep pushing from this space, this room, that takes these controls off. So that this is going to be controlled doesn't exist. Talk to the veterans that have been taking this, and I have counseled dozens and dozens of them, no controls whatsoever. This is a dangerous drug. The only reason that I can figure we're putting an automatic kick-in mechanism on this early before it's been approved so that 2.5 years from now it automatically goes into effect. The only thing that I can come up with as a reason for that is not the health and safety of individuals, because we don't know how this is going to affect the health and safety of individuals. It's not been proven. And the case studies that we have show some strong negativity with this. So the only reason I can come up with is this is a preemptive from a company with a patent to make sure they get their money first. This is financially driven. This is not driven by the health and safety of individuals. So 2.5 years from now, let's bring this bill back after it's been proven, after we've done the studies, after we see, just like other drugs that are similar to this, suicide rates went up, not down, many cases. Let's come back 2.5 years from now when it's ready, and then let's do this. And the reasoning that we want to make sure that it's available immediately upon approval, okay, then let's do it 2 years instead of 2.5. If the safety of the individual and not money is driving this, let's do this for the people and for our veterans instead of making it worse and causing the suicide rates to go up and psychotic breaks to happen, which are already happening at a high level. Let's be responsible.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Hartsook.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you to my colleagues. I mean, these are all great, very valid, very important points, and I appreciate the conversation. So let's kind of start unpacking this. In the world of medicine, medications, psychiatric treatment, and everything else, it's a science and it's an art. I will tell you, as you go through school and you go through practice, some things work, some things don't. We can look at a history of medications, and let's just run through a couple of lists. Organic compound derivative morphine, phenomenal painkiller, used in multiple surgeries, used in multiple treatments. Its synthetic derivative is Percocet, another very valuable painkiller and treatment. It is also very addictive. Percocet in the black market has become very expensive. It was one of the most traded items. There are downsides to every single piece of medication that is out there. Morphine is an organic compound. Percocet is a synthetic derivative. You see some people will have on antibiotics. We've got to have, I don't know, at least a dozen different kinds of antibiotics out there because some people have reactions to one form and they don't have a reaction to another form. And unfortunately, we often don't know that that happens until it happens. My mom is allergic to penicillin. We did not know, and I was a child, and she was prescribed penicillin, and she had an allergic reaction, and then there was an immediate trip to the hospital because she went into anaphylactic shock. Some of these things you simply can't know because we all have different biochemistries in our body. We don't know how we're going to react. When you get into medical or mental treatment for mental PTSD, depression, TBIs, the whole laundry list, no one knows how an individual is going to react. No one knows what they're going to do on a specific medication, and sometimes it's going to be inconsistent even during that treatment. This derivative here is a synthetic derivative. It is not the organic compound of mushrooms. It is not the organic compounds that are used in naturopath. It is a synthetic derivative that is a controlled concentration that is used and will be developed if and only if the FDA approves it. It's not testing on the veterans to see, well, does it work or does it not? The FDA is doing a variety of approvals. We can go through just about every drug that is in existence, and at some point or another, somebody's had a bad reaction to it or a problem with it, and sometimes people have died from allergic reactions. There's no way to prevent all of that unless you say, we don't use any medication. And I don't advocate that. That's not a good course of action. Part of our job is to look at these things and figure out where is the balance. And that is always the trick. The trick is finding the balance. Some will say, should we wait 1 year, 2 years? Those are all very valid questions, or very valid points. My position, my analysis of this situation and looking at it, having seen it and having worked with veterans with PTSD, my wife being a surgeon, having seen countless stories and heard of what has happened to veterans when they wake up coming out of combat and they wake up in a hospital where they were knocked unconscious 24 or 48 hours earlier in a combat situation, and now they're back stateside the hospital. They don't know where they're at. They have to be treated. We don't have the luxury of every time getting it right. Neither does a doctor. Sometimes things go horribly wrong. I am not going to deny that. Sometimes things go very, very bad. Part of our job here is to mitigate that. And I greatly appreciate my colleagues that bring up these points because I think these are very valid things that we need to discuss. These are things we need to look at and go, yes, this is my concern, this is your concern, and we should be considering this. Absolutely. My position on this bill is I don't know how long the FDA will take to approve it. It could be 1 year, it could be 3 years. I don't know, and I'm not going to stand in front of you and tell you I know. What I do know is that if the FDA approves it and the DEA reschedules it and it becomes available as a synthetic derivative for a doctor, it is one more item in their toolkit to treat a veteran or a first responder or anybody else that suffered an injury. I can't tell you that it will work. That is the decision to be made between the healthcare provider and the patient. And that is the discussion that I would certainly hope takes place. But our job is to look at that and go, do we want to provide that out there? My position is yes. That is why I asked for your yes vote. I understand if you are concerned and says, you know, I can't take that. And I appreciate and I can understand your no vote. That's all what we should be looking at. I would ask you look at this and consider, when you weigh the scales, what is the better good that comes in the outcome? I would sooner be prepared and be ready and use it if it's a treatment. And if it's not a treatment, if it doesn't get approved, then so be it. The bill goes away, the whole thing goes away. That we won't know until that day arrives. I would ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Colleagues, I'd like to remind you, please take all side conversations to the side while we continue the work before us. Representative DeGraff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I don't know, you said it wasn't mushrooms, but it is psilocybin, and I agree. I think having this treatment in our pocket is a good thing, but we're not waiting 1 year, we're not waiting 2 years, we're not waiting 3 years to find out if this works. We're waiting to after it's been approved. We're just waiting to see if it's been approved. And I get that, and I do agree with my colleague that so often, and some of these bills, I mean, veterans are just lumped into everything. It's like, well, this would be good for disabled veterans. Well, this would be good for, you know, endangered mammals. This would be good for, you know, whatever community we want to throw in. And usually it's veterans. Now, in this case, it's very applicable because of the unique trauma that veterans have gone through. But we have a risk of 20% psychotic break. So yes, we do have to examine the risk and reward. We always have to, there's nothing that occurs without risk. But right now, what we're signing on for is unknown risk for unknown reward. And if you're going to make a risk-reward benefit, you should probably know the risk and you should also know the reward. Because otherwise, you have an equation with an unknown in the numerator and denominator is not going to get you very far. So we're not waiting 1 or 2 years. We're not denying what is the greater good. We are going to have to make that decision, but we should make that decision with data. We're 2 to 3 years out from this being approved. What we could do is, I would like to see a bill. Let's just plan on this coming through. Let's just plan on this coming through, and let's put the safeguards in place. Let's put the structure in place. Let's let the synthetic psilocybin industry create the regulation that they're going to need, and then we can approve that in advance if we're going to have to approve it. Otherwise, what we're going to end up with is we're going to end up with a trigger. We're going to have a synthetic chemical where the active ingredient is highly concentrated, and then we are going to have to, instead of the calm of the harbor, we're going to have to make this decision out in the turmoil of the storm. So right now, we're signing up for unknowns. We're signing up for let's just assume this is going to be really good, maybe, but we don't know. So let's take a step back. We have 2 to 3 years to get everything in place. We don't have to write a blank check. We don't have to assign a market value in advance. What we need to do in advance is to tell these companies that we, above all, value the safety of our constituents. The marijuana industry was brought up. We approved marijuana without all the safeguards in place. I'm not necessarily anti-marijuana, but we approved it without the safeguards in place. We didn't know what it would do to traffic. We didn't know how to test it for traffic. We put it in place, we released it on society, for profit, and we have a lot of problems because of it. So let's deal with the structure that we need. If we're going to say we don't need any structure, then let's have that discussion. But if we're going to have a discussion, let's assume that this is approved, that this is coming, and let's create the structures that we're going to need and want when that day comes. Not to just say in advance that we will approve it no matter what you come up with. Now, whether you can put the genie in the bottle after 3 wishes, I'm not 100% sure. I'm not that caught up on my genie mythology. But before we let it out, we should understand what its intents are.
Representative Brooks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Despite my immense respect for my colleague, and then also certainly his military service, I'm going to be a little bit in opposition on this for a couple of reasons, a couple of things that weigh on my mind here. First of all, I mean, what do I know? I just got halfway through my first cup of coffee here. But I had said at the beginning of this that it seems like this is a pretty simple job. They just simply, express the will of your constituency. There was an issue very similar to this that had just been discussed in Castle Rock. It became very, very clear to me through my constituency that they were not in favor of really approaching these types of conversations. I feel like I need to make sure that I'm representing that correctly. The other piece of it that really is kind of weighing on me is that after that vote, I had the opportunity to tour a brand new, to be opened this year, Veterans Clinic in Castle Rock. It's beautiful. I was there for the groundbreaking, was there for the tour, open up later this year. They had actually made a very interesting point that it comes with PTSD, that for veterans, they had found that more often than not, the treatment for PTSD in the veteran community was better done among veterans. That when you isolate them, that it's not nearly as effective as when you can have especially combat-induced PTSD, that when they are together in a group at a VA, they're going to be much more effective in that. So that's something that's also weighing on my mind because I feel like this is, there's so much of this that they're saying, oh, we need to take care of veterans, and I agree with that. However, I think that we have services available to be able to do that now. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1063. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? No. The ayes have it. House Bill 1063 passes. Majority Leader Duran.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move the committee rise and report.
You have heard the motion. The committee will rise and report.
The House will come back to order. Mr. Schiebel, please read the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Madam Speaker, your Committee of the Whole begs leave to report is under consideration the following attached bills, being the second reading thereof and making the following recommendations thereon. House Bills 1016, 1022, 1033, and 1063 passed on second reading, ordered, engrossed, and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage.
Representative Camacho. Cheers. Yay. All right. Members, you have heard the motion. Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the adoption of the Committee of the Whole report. Mr. Schiebel, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Foray, Hartsook. Please close the machine. With 39 aye, 21 no, 4 excused, and 1 vacancy, the report is adopted. Announcements and introductions. Representative Froelich.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to welcome the students from Kent, Denver, who are visiting us today from my district. Oh, over there, okay.
Welcome. Always a good day to have students in the House. Representative Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and it's a pleasure to serve with you.
It is a pleasure to serve with you.
I would like to welcome from my district and the school that my son graduated from, Bear Creek High School. Please stand. Thank you for being here. Our future.
I'm a Bear Creek bear. That just made my day. Hi, high school. Representative Barone.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Just wanted to announce that I have been permitted to be excused for tomorrow, January 23rd.
So approved. Representative Froelich again.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It is an honor to serve with you.
It is an honor to serve with you.
The Transportation, Housing, and Local Government Committee will meet in LSB-A to hear 3 bills and 1 presentation at 1:30 today.
Thank you. Representative Joseph and Representative Ricks.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It is an honor to serve with you.
It is an honor to serve with you.
Thank you. Colleagues, I just wanted to, we, both Rep. Ricks and I, would like to invite you to a presser downstairs from 11:30 to 12:30 on immigrant voices from our community. Please come and join us, show solidarity, show support to our community. And also we will have free coffee and some snacks.
Bagels, donuts. Please join us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Representative Mabry.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members of Judiciary, we will be meeting today at 1:30 in room 107 to hear 3 bills, House Bill 1026, House Bill 1049, and House Bill 1015. And I will remind members that it is not mandatory on the Judiciary Committee to give closing comments on every bill. Thank you.
That might be the best announcement we've heard in a long time. Representative Brown. And Representative Brown gets the gold star. He had not signed up on the announcement form, but came to tell me that he had forgotten to sign up on the announcement form. But nobody signs up on the announcement form. So please, members, it helps us just manage all the things that need to get out there and make sure we don't miss anything. Representative Brown.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and my apologies for not signing up, but apparently I'm in good company.
Yes.
Today, the Joint Health Committee will meet in the Old State Library 10 minutes upon adjournment, we will hear presentations from CDHS, HICPUF, and other agencies. Thank you.
Thank you. AML Winter and Rep. McCormick.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Guess why we're here today? It is Wednesday and Friday is the junior livestock sale, so you have today, tomorrow, and Friday to help us build our kitty for the kitties.
Right.
Oh. AML Winter.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I totally agree. We got to get that money for the kids, but I'm also motivated by beating the Senate as well, as I've stated earlier. So if you guys would please help us reach our goal. We've had a bunch of people help out, and it really does go to a good thing. Most of these kids use this money as seed money for college or to get a vehicle to go to school or to buy books. So it's not like we're giving them money to blow. A lot of these kids really need it. That way they can get their lives started in college. So with that, also, please get out to the stock show. We've only got a few days left. Last night it was nice to see a lot of people at the Cattlemen's event, but please get out to the stock show and shake the hand of a rancher and a farmer and thank them for feeding you.
Excellent. Rep. Byrd.
Hello, friends, members. Once again, if you are wondering where the Joint Budget Committee will be today, we will be joining Representative Brown and that Joint Health Committee giving our SMART Act presentation. So, and I have to give our Speaker Pro Tem credit for this, we will JBC you there.
Representative Froelich and Representative Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Reproductive Rights Coalition will be meeting across the street for lunch in the church today, because today is a significant day.
And Representative Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And might I say, Madam Speaker, it is boots to the floor to serve with you.
Boots to the floor. It is boots to the floor to serve with you, too. Woo! Representative Garcia.
And I just want to say that is very telling that we don't have a single Gen Zer in this building to laugh at that. But today is the anniversary of Roe, so we are also celebrating that. And don't forget, across the street at what time?
Noon.
Okay. And I would also like to request a moment of personal privilege.
So granted.
Thank you. You don't have to stand. You can. Please, everyone stand up. This is very important. I just wanted to take a quick minute just to highlight some of the individuals in this building who do so much for each and every one of us. Each and every one of us, I am one of the 103 people in this building who have been elected to be here. If you have to count who those extra 3 people are, go back to civics class. All of you are one of 103 people. The rest of the people in this building, the partisan staff, the nonpartisan staff, make our lives so much easier by drafting our bills, by working the desks, by making sure we're following the rules. But I especially today just want to highlight our aides. I don't know about you, but I would not be able to be effective in this role without my aides. I have had the amazing opportunity of having 2 incredible aides. My first aide was so incredible, and she had a heart of helping everyone, so much so that she wanted to transcend partisan politics and become the first woman sergeant at arms. My second aide has the heart of gold, is eager, is here before I am, make sure I have everything I need for committee, for my bills, and she does so without complaining. She asks me over and over again, what else do you need? What else do you need? I am so grateful for my aide and for the entire aide corps, because without our aides, we would not be as effective as we are in serving the people of our respective districts. So with that, I just wanted to make sure that all of our aides feel loved, feel appreciated, and feel valued. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Round of applause for our nonpartisan, partisan, and aide corps. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the House stand in recess until later today.
The House will stand in recess until later today.